It's been quite a while since I've taken a swing at pro-Putin populists, and I've been waiting for the perfect moment to do so. In recent events, things have been getting quite tense between the two sides, again, based on the military buildup and new sanctions imposed, but everyone knows all about the details on that issue. Because Krembots also go after pop culture here in the West, I thought I'd take a look at that fun battlefield. Considering that they label everything as propaganda, I thought I'd provide some of my own. And what better way than to start with the most popular forms, video games and movies. Hoo-hoo! So far this year, we've had 3 movies where Russia was portrayed as the villain, and the most heavily criticized one was a movie I already mentioned called Red Sparrow. As you can see, it has garnered a lot of anger. I cannot stress enough that it is just a movie. I decided to see which person would be perfect to criticize, but there are quite a few people, and one of the worst is from a Russian guy called Bad Comedian, but holy shit, his video is 45 minutes long. Alas, I found one that is even worse.
Hello. So we've been getting quite a few questions about myself, and this is why we're putting together this video where I'm going to answer these wonderful questions.
I have no idea if this woman is an English immigrant living in Russia or she's just Russian but speaks English really good. I mean, if that's the case, props to you, lady. Your English is very good. But when it comes to criticism of Hollywood movies, I'm afraid that she is not so good, as she gets just about everything wrong when it comes to this movie. So, time to roll the dice.
Hello, my name is Anna. This is Russia Beyond. I want to talk to you about a movie. It's a very exciting spy movie with Jennifer Lawrence called the Red Sparrow. She plays a ballerina, so the Bolshoi is featured, who turns into a Russian spy / sex slave. It's insanely cliched.
We're off to a good start, but just look at the way she says it's a cliche. She's clearly offended by this movie. You know, the only people that are offended by movies are social justice warriors, and it's quite funny to see populists take a dump on them for those comments when they take offense over the same thing just when their ideology is being pooped on.
The whole film is, it's sort of created in that way, because it's not just Russia, America as well, that is portrayed as a PVC, plastic, soulless office, which it is not, as there is in Russia, which comes across as this terrible, grey, dark, violent, horrible place, which again, it is not.
Yeah, I hear this from pro-Russian activists a lot, especially from foreign people who have lived in Russia and then returned. But the only catch here is that they lived in the big cities such as Moscow or St. Petersburg, but they always fail to talk about life in the other cities, especially those in Siberia. Like, have you seen Murmansk, for example? The place looks like Chernobyl. Agriculture all across the country lacks the ability to feed the entire country. I mean, Siberia is mainly tundra, so fertile land is quite impossible, and the only lifeline it has is the Siberian Railway, and there's only one railway. Kind of explains why Russia is a place where anomalies happen. The infrastructure is quite bad. For example, the roads have holes in them that are so big that children fall into them. Yeah, it's that bad. In Novosibirsk, there is a dent on Kotovska Street that hasn't been repaired for years. And I have to say, Russians have a pretty good sense of humor. They actually celebrate the birthday of that dent. They even make cakes for that little dent. Quite awesome. There's actually an old saying there. In Russia, there are 2 problems: dumbasses and bad roads. So there goes the ungloomy claim.
I like some of the decisions that they stylistically made about Russia. They work, but then certain ones were just over the top. Jennifer Lawrence is running around in a fur hat in what looks like autumn. No one does that. That's weird.
Yeah, maybe I'm slow or retarded, but I really don't think they imply that all Russian women do that, especially since there are only 2 scenes of her wearing that, and it holds no real significance to the film.
And then there's a meeting between 2 spies in a very, very dark setting. It's meant to be Gorky Park, which is smack in central Moscow. Please know that that's a hipster thing. It's just very bright and very international and light, etc. And also the most important thing is that it just can't get that dark because we live in a northern city, obviously. So in mid-winter, we get like 4 hours of daylight. The cities in Russia, they are very brightly illuminated with electric lights. Like the houses would be illuminated and the parks and everything. So that was a stretch too far. Brighten it up a little bit.
Now, this might be a good argument, but there's one piece of evidence that proves you wrong.
In midwinter, we get like 4 hours of daylight.
That might be in the winter, but this scene itself doesn't take place in winter. If you look at the police dash cam, this ordeal takes place on September 21st and at 8:35 p.m., the first day of fall, so it only recently has gotten dark. So yeah, no winter lights at this moment.
When you're watching, I suppose you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that it's all a hyperbole and Russians are playing the baddies, the Americans are meant to be the goodies. It's all inflated and blown up. Reality is not like that.
Okay, whatever. It's also a bit too far to say that the movie is meant to be anti-Russian when the movie is just an adaptation of the spy thriller book Red Sparrow written by Jason Matthews. It's also worth noting that it's originally a trilogy, so we might be seeing more of these movies.
But it's stunning how sometimes these cliches are just over the top. One thing that I really enjoyed though was Matthias Schoenertz, because he looks exactly like Vladimir Putin. He was really in place. We got that subliminal message. That was funny. Thank you.
Now, I have to admit that was funny. It's even more funny that Russians did the same thing in the 2009 movie Olympus Inferno with the American guy looking like Obama, and then they helped the Georgians kill innocent people. Pretty good movie, though.
There's a lot of discussion on the internet. People are like nitpicking and trying to spot some details, etc. I don't think it really matters that much because overall the story is captivating, it's interesting. You are very welcome to come over to Russia and to try and find any kind of spies, sex slaves here. I don't think that's going to be very easy though, because obviously that's all made up. But
yeah, about that last part, I wouldn't really agree. You see, Jason Matthews based his book on his analysis that the Soviet Union had sexpionage schools in Kazan, which is southeast of Moscow, and trained cadets to do the same thing. He believes the school has been closed, but that Russia now uses independent contractors. Allegedly, the school was named the Lenin Technical School, and targets of the Soviet Union included Sukarno, the former president of Indonesia, British journalist Jeremy Wolfenden, Canadian Ambassador John Watkins, Ambassador Jeffrey Harrison, and Member of Parliament Anthony Courtney. Modern-day Russian targets included British MP Mike Hancock and diplomat James Hudson in 2009. Now, whether any of the movie is actually true, I don't know, but you can't really call this a fairy tale as you did in the description. But in any case, Anna, I have to ask, is this video sponsored by the Russian government? Because you and quite a lot of Russians seem to be very angry over a screen on TV. I would also recommend Anna or Bad Comedian or Southfront, anyone else to do a review of a Russian movie that portray the West as a villain, to maybe see them call it Russian propaganda, but then again, that wouldn't be very populist, now would it?